Sportsnet.ca columnist Eric Francis stops by. The Flames wrapping up their regular season with 3 games this week. But Eric, a lot of people are wondering, what does the spring, summer, and fall hold in store for the Flames? In particular, the World Hockey Championships coming up. There are some candidates to play in: Mark Giordano, TJ Brodie, and perhaps Sean Monahan. What are you learning about perhaps them as members of Hockey Canada's Team Canada?
Well, I think, for all three of the ultimate goal is to get to the World Cup of Hockey, and this makes it a very interesting decision for them because the World Championships are in the same year, of course, now as the World Cup of Hockey. We know that Sean Monahan is going to the World Cup. That's not an issue. But what I'm hearing right now is all three of these players are probably not going to go to the World Championships, and that's a little questionable for at least one of them, for TJ Brodie. Mark Giordano, he wants to be close to his family, and in a year when he may be called to go to the World Cup, I can understand that he may not want to go to the World Championships in lieu of, so he could spend time with his family. But these players, every player right now that's being considered to round out that roster, like TJ Brodie, like Mark Giordano, they can prove themselves even more at the World Championships in Moscow and in St. Petersburg. Giordano not going, it'll hurt his chances, but I still think he's one of the front runners to round out that World Cup roster. TJ Brodie, without going to the World Championships, I think would eliminate his chances of going to the World Cup of Hockey. Monahan probably will forego the World Championships because he doesn't have a contract. It's not likely going to get done in time for the tournament in May, and his agent probably won't let him go unless it's done. Even though they could get insurance, I just don't think you're going to see any of the Flames in the World Championships.
Now, the disappointment the Flames have endured this season, not making the postseason after going to round 2 a year ago, do you believe it has any factor at all in these decisions?
Yeah, I think that could play a part, and I think also they could be banged up, and that's a legitimate excuse for these guys. The family card is one that I'm always going to buy into if a player just says, I'd rather be with my family. But there's an inherent pressure with all three of these guys because their general manager here in Calgary also happens to be the assistant general manager for the World Championship team. So he really wants them to go. He believes hockey players should be playing hockey at this time of year, ideally in the playoffs. But because they're not in the playoffs, they could be disappointed. There's a lot of reasons why you don't need to go to the World Championships because we here in the North America, we don't put a lot of stock in the World Championships. The World Cup is the ultimate goal, and you just have to wonder if Giordano doesn't go to the World Championships, is he also hurting his chances of going to the World Cup? I like to think not, but we won't know that answer until the fall.
Eric, thanks for this.
Thank you.
Eric Francis, columnist for Sportsnet.ca.